Hello, thank you everybody for joining our webinar, Overcoming Data and Analytic Challenges in Public Library Districts. We're going to explore strategies to improve the data-driven decision making. First, thank you to those that are watching this webinar live. Thank you to those that are watching this recorded, and welcome. Thank you to our employees, our customers, our partners, our advisors, and our friends of the firm that have all helped us get to this point. Thank you. For those of you that haven't had a chance to work together, thank you for joining, and we'd love to be able to talk with you to help you in your data-driven journey in your library. This webinar is part of a series of webinars specific for library districts. This webinar is standalone, does not have to be watched in sequence with the other webinars. The other webinars are also all standalone. It's up to you as to how many and which ones in which order you watch them. And they're available for replay on LinkedIn, website, and YouTube. So libraries themselves, of course, have a wide range of challenges that you need to overcome. Those can range from the decline of attention span in your patrons, the decline in general reading in favor of social media and online activities, lack of diversity, lack of recognition. There's definitely been some trends with book banning in different parts of the country, and really just the struggle of library education to have people understand and appreciate the importance of a library in a community, and for library districts, the importance of each library in the micro communities that each library serves unto itself. Of course, there's other challenges as well. Challenges with budgets and funding, challenges with the ever change and constant change of technology and different options, and of course, the rising costs of being in business, whether those are from a people perspective, an asset perspective, building perspective, maintenance, collecting digital assets, collecting physical assets, and everything in between, on top of doing new things. I'm Mike Jellin. I've been in the data and analytics space for libraries for 2 decades. And we at AICG, we are a strategy and implementation firm focusing on data and analytics for libraries. And we use technology to address those library use cases. And as our CEO, Christian Screen, so eloquently put, that while technology is important, the priority must be delivering on the specific needs and use cases of the organization or the library itself. Because technology is interesting. Technology by itself is important. However, it's nuts and bolts and bells and whistles. It's the true application of driving return on investment. And that return on investment can be in a number of ways. There could be financial benefits. You're able to reduce costs from an operational expense perspective. Awesome. But you're able to do and offer new programs, new outreaches to your community or communities that you serve. And we do that by partnering with a library or library district and really focusing on what is that organizational value that we're all driving towards. And that partnership stems from that education to the librarians, to those people that will be responsible for not only understanding and interpreting and gaining value from data and analytic projects, but then the folks that also are responsible for maintaining and running and enhancing any sort of data and analytics program. So overcoming data and analytic challenges, one of them is naturally decreased foot traffic. Lots of reasons for that. But there are things that libraries have to do in order to try to combat or offset that. We know that the number of patrons coming in and the frequency that they're coming in to a physical library is decreasing. And so that's where we've seen a large push to the digital libraries thriving and expanding to reach out to those patrons, perhaps not in a physical manner, but in that digital manner. Not just offering collections in a hard copy, but offering a digital equivalent. So now you're offering programming, and that programming is going to cater to the unique needs of that local community or the micro communities that the library serves. Anywhere from particular hobbies or interests, targeting those groups with outreach and offerings, to immigrant groups, perhaps English as a second language, getting those folks up to speed on financial literacy, getting anybody up to speed on financial literacy, breaking those up into different age groups and having age appropriate classes and events, and naturally understanding what are the hobbies in the area. So the library has done a great job of going from a blanket, we offer all information to everybody, to let's offer very curated and specific targeted programming, which allows that from a marketing perspective to get the word out. Because you have targeted programming, now your marketing can align with that targeted programming versus have a one size fits all approach. Technology and data has helped with that, but it can continue to help and help even more. Of course, elephant in the room is, well, we don't have the monies to do whatever we want to do. True, there isn't an unlimited supply of monies or a pot of gold at an end of a rainbow that each library can tap into, or library district. That's where the creativity and the consistency of looking for those different funding sources, whether those are grants, private donations, corporations, engaging in that community from that true partnership perspective to help perhaps some of those larger organizations understand and further appreciate and to know where the library's struggle is coming from, but how financial resources and the support of those corporations goes a long way to not only deepen the library, but more importantly, deepen that organization's impact to the communities that their people, their employees serve and come from. Of course, continue looking at existing budgets, but then also to make sure you have a proper fundraising strategy. And leveraging technology, yes, there's an upfront investment in technology, but over time, what you're going to see is that upfront investment in the technology will reduce the amount of manual processes and steps and things that folks are doing. It's going to allow you to unlock the value of how many people are coming in, what are they doing, how often are they coming in, tracking the attendance and the signups of various outreaches and targeted programs. Data, when it's automated from a collection perspective, allows you to then do that analysis in a programmatic fashion. And really, when we say programmatic, where the technology continues to update on that daily or weekly basis of what has been our impact. So you don't have to wait to the end of the month, end of the quarter, end of a year to be able to say, well, did what we offer from targeted programming work or not? You make those changes and those small incremental tweaks throughout an individual month, throughout a quarter, so that you're always evolving and responding. And yes, at times you'll be trying new things. And some of those things aren't going to work, but that's okay. That's why we start small, we start targeted, but they might not work the first iteration or the second, but you're going to learn and you're going to constantly adapt and change. And so therefore, you will get to the point where it does work and you will have a very large impact to your community. According to the American Library Association, you think of opportunity youth, those folks within the ages of 16 to 24 years old, disconnected from school and work. They frequently face challenging home or community environments. The library has a role, or can have a role, or should have a role in targeted programming to that group of individuals as an opportunity to further deepen your connection to the local community, but also help tell the story of here is how it's important, or why it's important the library continues to be a key component in the community. When you think of the Washington, D.C. Public Library, they're looking to expand an existing internship program by building justice principles and practices into supervisor training for library employees and creating that professional development opportunities for youth. So you think of an internship program at a library, or a library having influence on an internship program, is a very unique and creative way that libraries are reaching out and connecting and helping with a particular targeted program. Yes, it does involve some additional training for the library employees, librarians themselves, which includes professional development, some sensitivity, and just the awareness, which then leads into that targeted program of, great, internally the library is ready to engage with those folks. Now we need to have a go-to-market or go-to-community approach. And that is where that internship program and combining businesses and organizations in the community with those youth that are open and want to be more connected, or don't realize that they need a connection, but they're the right people, whether those are counselors at schools, youth organizations, the business community, and of course the libraries, all coming together to come up with a targeted program and a targeted offering that at the end of the day, it benefits all of those stakeholders that I just mentioned. And that may even, we talk about internships. The Memphis Public Library is doing something similar, but they're hosting an opportunity youth fair, whether that's pairing folks up and students that are interested or maybe not even aware, creating awareness around local colleges. And those local colleges could be technical schools. They could be 4-year degree. They could be a trade. They could be music focused, legal focused. But bringing those folks together, the Memphis Public Library is the catalyst to bring those people and those organizations together. So creativity is also a key part to how libraries can further deepen their relationship and expand their offerings through targeted programming, all by using data to be able to say, here are things that we can do and try, but it's more important to say, well, how do we measure that effectiveness? How are we making sure that we're collecting the data? And it's not just a feel-good story of, we think we're doing the right thing. Let's hope we're doing the right thing. No, we need to know and measure that we are doing the right thing to tell the story, because we know it goes back to, we're starting small with these initiatives, and it might be grassroots, and we're trying to build upon that. And every time that we do it, it'll make a little bit bigger, a little bit better. And that's part of that evolution. And with that targeted programming, naturally we talked about those unique needs and interests of specific patron groups. Yes, it helps the library serve their diverse communities, but it's all about attracting new visitors as well. And those visitors, they might walk through your doors of the library, but they also might be digital visitors as well. And to understand, what are those visitors doing? Whether people have a library card or not, but to be able to track, what are they doing? What events are they signing up for? You're able to collect information. Obviously, library cards are free at the end of the day, but the ability to attach a human to a set of activities, a lot of times a library card is that key vehicle, whether that's digital or physical. The library card is a key connector to all of that because it ties the data together of what are people doing, how often are they doing it, and to be able to group and categorize people accordingly, which goes back to targeted programming. Of course, the maximizing of the budgets, whether that's offering self-help resources, provide online training, tutoring, to investing in staff. We talk a lot about, well, what are we doing as a library to engage in our community? And it's about that outreach. How do we engage with the patrons? How do we find the patrons? But at the same time, you also need to continually remember, all right, I need to invest in my staff. My staff are the ones that are going to be executing the targeted programming. They need to have awareness. Perhaps the culture of our library needs to evolve as well. And with that culture, staff training can help with that evolution. We talked about seeking grant funding, plenty of tools out there to make sure that you are continually reaching out and maximizing where you're able to get grants. Yes, some grants you will apply to and you will not win, and that's okay. Think of all of the information, all the questions, how you answered those questions. There's a treasure trove of content there that you can rinse and repeat and use for other grants as a starting point. It's obviously much easier to start with a set of content for you to massage and evolve and target towards the individual grant versus starting with a blank piece of paper every time. So there is benefit to going after grants, even if you're not quite sure or don't think you can win an individual grant. The time that it takes to apply to a grant is not insignificant. However, when you apply to grants and do this on a repeatable process, that grant funding application process gets a lot easier. It gets shorter because you have these reusable assets that you're able to use as a starting point and craft accordingly for future grants. And a big part is engaging the community. Naturally, when you have book drives, you ask for people to donate money, to donate books, donate monies, but then creating that awareness of, are we selling books? Are we selling digital media to look at the individual revenue? Yes, of course, there's a traditional revenue from a city tax base perspective, or city, county, town, however your library gets funding. And then there's delinquencies on balances due by patrons. It's another funding source. At the end of the day, it is a funding source, as much as it'd be ideal to have a $0 balance from patrons, because then that means things are being returned on time, they're not getting lost, and those assets are able to be reused. So when you think of leveraging data and analytics, we talk a lot about making sure you have that ability, and most of the time you do have that ability to collect the data. Definitely understand at times it's hard to go and access that data, or maybe to get all the data that you want. You know it's tracked, but you're not sure how to extract that data. And then to combine that data, whether that's from foot traffic, circulation, community events, targeted events, and of course, library card activity. But leveraging the data and analytics, you're going to understand the patron's needs and interests and the needs as well, help with that targeted programming, because it allows you to optimize what those services are. And a lot of times it will allow you to do new services or new programming, not just how are we doing on our existing programming. It is very important to understand how we're doing on our existing programming, because you want to continue to evolve that existing programming, but at the same time, come up with new programming to add in so that you're making informed decisions and not just guessing and hoping. And it is very important to remember that just because something might be tracking from a key performance indicator lower than desired doesn't mean, well, we should stop this programming. It just means we need to make some tweaks to make this programming better. And that way people can come together to say, all right, this community event was attended by 75 people, and of those people there, here is what those folks did. Great. The next time you have that event, you're able to get 80 attendees, and also to measure the activities and the things that they did within that community event. You're able to see that you can show progress and show increase. And the next time after that, maybe you get to 90. So you're continually evolving, but using data in order to track and show and tell the story, versus leveraging one person that happened to be at all three of those events to be able to say, oh, yes, here's what I remember of how we did at those events. But what if your event is only once a year? It's hard to remember over multiple years, especially when there's a year in between these events. How did we really do? How did we know that it was a success one year? And then how do we know it was a success the next year? And then to be able to compare, is that success real or is it fabricated in our minds? But having the data in order to make those informed decisions lets you maximize that. So you think of from a data and analytics perspective, talk amongst your peers, look at yourself in the mirror and say, where's our library district with being a data-driven organization? Are we there? Are we even on our journey? Do we know what our vision is from a roadmap perspective? How do we know we're going down the right path from a data and analytics perspective? If you don't have a roadmap, it's very easy to identify those quick wins. Start small and build from there. We understand from time, budget, and resources, those are all constraints that you face. So starting small and identifying those quick wins helps to create that momentum and positivity, but also there's so much learning and evolution that you and the team will go through in your data and analytics journey that will help set the stage for your next quick win. And from there, but if you're not sure where to start, don't have a roadmap, you've identified perhaps some quick wins, but you want to discuss, how do I go about tackling this quick win? I know where the data is, I can't get to it. Or I have data in multiple sources. I want to bring that data together in order to do analytics, but I'm not sure how to do that. That's okay. We love at AICG to be able to have those conversations with you, provide you direction and guidance so that you can overcome data analytics challenges in your library district. Thank you for watching this webinar, for attending this webinar. We look forward to meeting you if we haven't had a chance yet. Otherwise, thank you for joining today, and we'll catch you at the next webinar.